I'm Abby Kowal with Exposed Sports, and this is the recap, week number 3. Let's get started and head out to Denton, where Guyer rolled past North Crowley 55-7 at home on Thursday night. Leading 35-0 at the half, Guyer came out to play on Thursday night. Standout Cadric Cobbs ran for 101 yards and 3 touchdowns, as Texas A&M commit Eli Stowers went 10 for 18 for 188 yards and a touchdown. Tyon Aldridge showed out with a 63-yard run to extend the Guyer lead to 55-0. North Crowley wasn't going to let them get the shutout though, and with 54 seconds left in the game, Joshua Collins scored from 2 yards out. Denton Guyer is now 3-0 to start the season for the first time since 2009. Grapevine hangs on to defeat Justin Northwest 36-26 at Mustang Panther Stadium. On only the second play from scrimmage, Grapevine's Caleb Texada ran 174 yards for a touchdown to go up 7-0. After a bad snap from Justin Northwest, they added more points to the scoreboard with a safety to go up by 9. Northwest's Austin Ahmed got them on the scoreboard with a 6-yard touchdown run and continued on a roll as they held Grapevine to a field goal on their next drive. To end the half, Ahmed had a 9-yard toss to Xavier Taylor to take the lead 14-12 going into halftime. Grapevine came out strong in the second half. On their first drive, quarterback Austin Alexander scored quickly. Grapevine attempted a short kickoff after this play and fell on the ball. However, Justin Northwest defense wasn't going to back down and forced a turnover on downs. After Northwest scored again, off a Kendall Sims 2-yard touchdown run, they went for 2 and failed. Grapevine put the game away with a fourth quarter 37-yard touchdown run to take the win 36-26. After a close score of 7-7 at halftime, Keller scored an unanswered 17 points to beat Grand Prairie 22-7 on Thursday night. Completing 8 of 12 passing attempts for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns, Keller's Hayden Anderson helped lead the Indians to a victory over Grand Prairie. Anderson also rushed 6 times for 71 yards, including a 27-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. Nick Roca had 2 touchdown receptions, a 10-yard touchdown to tie the game 7-7 before the half, and another, an 11-yard touchdown to give Keller the lead 14-7. Zach O'Day and Taylor Atkinson both had interceptions for the Indians as Bryce Dealey rushed 8 times for 34 yards and Andre Collier had 1 reception for 21 yards. Although they left with a loss, Grand Prairie's Tylexius Strutter led the Gophers with 106 rushing yards on 10 carries. Hugo Vidal completed 13 of 19 passes for 157 yards, with 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Juan Marino caught 5 passes for 67 yards, and DeMatthew McGee had 1 reception, which was a 30-yard touchdown pass from Vidal. With this loss, Grand Prairie is now 0-3 and will face Cedar Hill next week. The Everman Bulldogs received their first win of the season, defeating Arlington Seguin 44-6 on Friday night. The Bulldogs quarterback Juan Davis took charge as he accounted for 4 touchdowns against the Cougars. Davis had 3 touchdowns on the ground, running for a total of 137 yards on 15 carries. He also had 2 receptions, one being a 24-yard touchdown pass to receiver Desarion Brown with 3 minutes left in the second quarter to lead 23-6. Arlington Seguin's running back Jalen March rushed for a total of 79 yards on 19 carries and was the only one to score for the Cougars on that 1-yard run. In a 27-12 victory, Fort Worth Nolan beats the Salina Bobcats. Fort Worth Nolan's sophomore running back, Emeka Megwa, got the Vikings going early with a 78-yard run for a 6-0 lead. In the second quarter, quarterback Jimmy Taylor connected with senior wideout Brandon Chapman for 61 yards for a TD, and on the following possession they met again as Taylor threw a 22-yard reception from Chapman to take the lead 20-0. Shortly before the half, Salina got on the board in back-to-back possessions as Logan Point had consecutive runs of 22 and 2 yards to make the score 20-12. With a scoreless third quarter, Nolan held the lead 20-12 until Chapman met Taylor again with a 12-yard pass for a 27-12 victory. Nolan put up 371 yards on offense and took the win to make them 3-0 on the season. In a non-district matchup, Flower Mound Marcus defeated the Waxahachie Indians 55-38. Flower Mound Marcus quarterback Garrett Nussmeyer had himself a game as he threw for 407 yards and 5 touchdowns in the victory over Waxahachie. Another standout performance from Tyson Edwards added 326 yards and 4 touchdowns, rushing for 199 yards on 28 carries, as well as a late 2-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. Christian Espinoza had 5 catches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. In total, Flower Mound Marcus had over 500 yards of total offense. For Waxahachie, Brandon Edwards Jr. had 2 touchdown catches and also a 58-yard punt return for a TD. He finished with 11 catches for 176 yards, but the Indians still fell short and are now 2-1 on the season. The Rockwall Yellow Jackets came out on top with a victory over Arlington Bowie 58-33. Rockwall, the number 5 team in the Class 6A rankings, are now 2-1 on the season after defeating Arlington Bowie over the weekend. Khalil Catlett had 3 touchdown runs covering 4, 42, and 3 yards and 1 more touchdown from 1 yard out. He finished with 152 total yards. Receiver Jackson Smith recorded 2 touchdowns, including a 10-yard fade route, giving Rockwall the lead 38-14 going into the half. He now has 8 touchdowns this season. Arlington Bowie quarterback Drayvon Ponder finished with 137 yards with 89 being on the ground and 3 rushing touchdowns. Marseille Sims also had 152 yards with a 53-yard scoring run. With this victory, Rockwall has now scored over the 50-point mark for its 3rd consecutive game. In a huge upset, Frisco Lone Star defeated Highland Park, snapping the Scots' 33-game win streak. Frisco Lone Star left it all on the field as the Rangers made history and defeated Highland Park 30-19 on Highland Park's home turf. They came out ready to play as sophomore quarterback Garrett Rangel connected with wide receiver Marvin Mims for a 45-yard touchdown, and it didn't stop there. After another touchdown for Lone Star from Jake Bogdan's 1-yard run and a field goal, Rangel met Mims again for a 38-yard pass for his 2nd touchdown of the night. The Rangers went into halftime with a 24-0 lead. Although trailing going into the second half, no one underestimated Highland Park's ability to make a comeback. Paxton Anderson started the 3rd quarter off with a 26-yard reception from Chandler Morris to make it 24-7. After a Rangers field goal, they entered the 4th quarter down 27-7. A 1-yard run for a touchdown from Morris and another 1-yard run from Doak Walker would get Highland Park 19 points, but it wasn't enough to seal the deal. Although they outscored Lone Star 19-6 in the second half, the Rangers defense logged 4 of its 7 sacks in the second half, halting the Scots from any more scores. Highland Park's win streak may be over, but this won't be the last we see of them this season. Caden Salter led Cedar Hill to their first victory of the season, defeating Mesquite Horn 49-21 on Friday night. In the non-conference matchup, the Cedar Hill Longhorns racked up 582 total yards, with Salter accounting for 258 of them. Quinn Bright scored twice for Cedar Hill, catching a 9-yard pass from Salter and also bringing in a touchdown on an 8-yard run. Dedrick Hutchins also picked up an interception for the Longhorns, leading them to their 2nd touchdown in the 1st quarter. Mesquite Horns linebacker Samuel Dowse recovered a fumble after a sack and ran it in from 50 yards with 4 minutes left in the game to make it 21-49. However, it wasn't enough to hold Cedar Hill off. Lancaster held off South Grand Prairie 42-27 at the Gopher Bowl on Friday night. South Grand Prairie, trailing 35-13 3 minutes into the 4th quarter, got some momentum going and made the score 35-27 with 3 minutes remaining in the game. However, when Lancaster recovered the onside kick and Trey Bradford took off for a 43-yard run with 39 seconds left, the game was over. Lancaster quarterback Glenn Rice completed 11 of 16 passes for 190 yards and 3 touchdowns. One of those, a 26-yard touchdown pass to Magic Rector. Trey Bradford was a key player in the running game that produced 237 yards, as well as DQ James with a 61-yard scoring run. South Grand Prairie put up a fight though as quarterback Drake Logan hit Titus Jackson on a 64-yard scoring play and another 7-yard pass to Jackson as well. Logan completed 19 of 36 passes for 279 yards and 2 touchdowns, but the Warriors came up short. In a complete shutout, DeSoto rolled over Bishop Dunn 49-0 on Saturday. Samari Collier showed up for DeSoto, passing for 295 yards and 4 touchdowns in the first half. One to Lawrence Arnold and the other to Jordan Brown, both 49 yards. Jaden Wilson had 2 TD receptions as well from Collier, one 36 yards and the other 15. Bishop Dunn forced 3 turnovers but was held to only 36 yards in the first half and only 139 total yards in the game. DeSoto finished with 14 tackles for losses, 3 from DeMarcus Jackson and 3 from Jaheim Muhammad. In a showdown between 2 nationally ranked teams, Duncanville defeated DC St. John's 35-14. In a much-anticipated matchup between the 2 nationally ranked teams, stud quarterback Jaquindon Jackson led the Duncanville offense with 193 yards passing, 74 yards rushing, and 3 touchdowns to get the win. Another standout performance that surely helped the Panthers Running back Tristan Smith with 119 yards and 2 touchdowns. Roderick Daniels also had himself a game with 8 receptions, 135 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This victory was a big one for the DFW area and has Duncanville's mindset right on the state title. Now it's time for your top plays of the week. At number 10, we'll start in Highland Park as Frisco Lone Stars' Marvin Mims has a 45-yard reception from quarterback Garrett Rangel. Lawrence Arnold will take the number 9 spot with the 49-yard reception from Samari Collier. We will stay with DeSoto for number 8 as Samari Collier passes another 49-yarder to Jordan Brown. At number 7, Garrett Nessmeyer tosses a nice 63-yard pass for reception to Christian Espinoza for Marcus High School. Brandon Chapman will take number 6 with the 61-yard catch from quarterback Jimmy Taylor. Denton Geyer's Tyon Aldridge with a 63-yard touchdown run will put him at number 5. Number 4 will be Caleb Texada with a 70-yard touchdown run for Grapevine. We'll go to Waxahachie where Brandon Hawkins Jr. had a 58-yard punt return for a touchdown. Number 2, Nolan Catholic's Emeka Megwa with a stellar 78-yard run. And slated in that number 1 spot, Marcus High School's Tyson Edwards' 92-yard reception from Garrett Nessmeyer. If we missed a play, you know what to do. Slide right into those DMs and let us know. Here are your top players of the week. The defensive player of the week will go to Nolan Catholic's Eric Franco, who tallied up a total of 14 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 QB hurry. Marvin Mims will take Offensive Player of the Week after a huge upset win over Highland Park at home. Mims had 10 receptions for 219 yards and 2 touchdowns as Lone Star ended Highland Park's 33-game win streak. The underclassman of the week will go to DeSoto's Chris Henley. The sophomore running back averaged 15 yards per carry with 89 total yards and 2 touchdowns. Do you think you or someone else deserves to be Player of the Week? Let us know in the comments below. Here are your top upcoming games for Week 4. Garland High School will take on South Garland at HB Johnson Stadium for a 7 p.m. kickoff on Friday night. Garland, coming off a big win against Richardson, will hope to go 3-1 this week. Jordan Hudson has 315 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns, and quarterback Sergio Perez has 611 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions on the season. Some other players to watch: running back Jason Powers, wide receivers Ellis Rogers and Charles Allen, and defensive back Chase Biddle. For South Garland, quarterback Jaleel Brown has 500-plus yards and 4 touchdowns, and some players to watch for them: Brandon Wyatt and Dante Pruitt. Arlington Martin will head to Rockwall's Wilkerson Sanders Stadium for a matchup that will take place at 7:30 on Friday. Rockwall is sitting at 2-1 this season, with their only loss being the thriller against Highland Park. Rockwall's standout player, Braden Locke, has 1,234 yards and 13 touchdowns. As another standout, Jackson Smith is averaging 24 yards per catch with 8 receiving touchdowns and 587 yards. Other players to keep an eye on for Rockwall are wide receiver J.J. Williams and running backs Zach Henry and Khalil Catlett. Arlington Martin has only allowed 14 points per game. However, Rockwall has put up an average of 55 points per game. Martin is undefeated with 2 solid wins over powerhouse Austin Lake Travis and Hebron. Martin's Zach Mundell has 140 passing yards with 1 touchdown and 136 rushing yards and 3 TDs. Martin players to watch: Christian Traylor, Chris Kraft, and Ernest Cooper IV. Which games will you be at this week? Make sure to let us know in the comments below. And if there's a particular game you'd like to see us at, make sure you comment that below too. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all our social media platforms. This is Exposed Sports. I'm Abby Kowal, and we'll see you guys next week. Oh yeah, and click that share button.